Welcome, and today we have another guide, and this is going to be on the Darwin Project. Now, first up is going to be your loadout. Now, this can vary on depending on what you want. We'll do a quick run through real quick, just so you know what's going on there. Now, to start things off, we've got your basic armor, fire, and the type of arrows. Now, the type of arrows depends. The normal arrow, it's just regular arrow. You get 5 at the start. The next arrow is going to be the hunter arrow, which if you land a shot, it tracks them for 5 seconds. We have the fire arrow, which does more damage, but it has a bigger drop. And the berserker arrow, which when you hit a shot with it, you have unlimited stamina for 10 seconds. Now next up is going to be the different types of axes. I personally run with the axe sharpener. It increases damage of the axe swing by 25% each upgrade. The next one is going to be the lumberjack, which increases your speed. And the final one is the scavenger axe. When you kill or loot a player or a deer, you get more health for it. As for the cloaks, each cloak gives you a resistance to cold damage. Obviously, fur cloak gives you the most cold resistance. The detective cloak increases your clue time and cold resistance. Runner cloak increases your movement speed. And the ghost cloak decreases the time you're being tracked. Boots are similar to the cloaks, whereas the speed boots obviously give you the highest speed increase. Ninja boots decrease the duration of footprints. Hunter boots increase your tracking speed. And evader boots decreases the time you're tracked for. Now tech is going to be obviously a personal preference. You can have up to 3. The first one is going to be the radar, which detects nearby players or trackable items. The detector, which is the same thing but only with loot and animals. Camo makes you invisible for a short amount of time. Energy shield makes you invincible for a short amount of time, but you get double the knockback. Power leap is just a straight up jump in the air 30 meters. The next one is going to be the arena, which places an arena around you that no one can come in and no one can leave. Turret, which you place down, it shoots 3 shot bursts. It takes 1 hit with a bow or an axe to kill. And lastly, there's the teleport, which teleports you in a direction of your choosing at 100 meters. Last but not least, we have the traps. The bear trap, you place it on the ground, deals damage, and reveals the enemy. Smoke bomb reduces your deletes your footprints and makes you untrackable. Large cage trap, you place a cage around an enemy, they have to fight their way to break out, but you can shoot through it. Tripwire, you place a tripwire down, they hit it, they get stunned and revealed. The rigged chest, you place a fake chest down. If they open it, they take 150 damage. And lastly is the snowballs, which you can make unlimited, and they give the enemy cold damage. So yeah, let's get right into it. We're going to drop right into a match, and the first thing I do is I grab my 2 wood in front of me, and I try to find a radar house, which is a house with a satellite dish on top of it. Inside those houses have a mini-map showing where all the players are, and I like to get a feel where everybody's at. Then, after I have that accomplished, I can either choose to go for a kill, or kind of play it safe and farm up some resources. Now the benefit of getting first blood is you get a guaranteed electronic and a possible second item like a first aid kit or a speed drink, which is very nice early, but it's not always the smartest move. If there's a bunch of people around one guy or you're surrounded, it's better to play it safe sometimes. Alright, after you've got that decided or not, the next biggest thing is what you want to make first. Now, a lot of people like to go straight arrows with their wood, or what I like to do personally, depending on how many people are around me, I will build a armor first, which stops all incoming damage from 1 hit. That way, if I do get unlucky hit by them, or they just hit me better, they hit me before I can hit them, I don't take any damage. Or you can go ahead and make them all into arrows. That is your preference. Now, the reason I go with the armor to start off with is because early, I don't have many arrows. I usually won't. Other players might, or they might not. It all depends. But if you go someone against like fire arrows or hunter arrows or anything, that damage, if you get hit, is going to be blocked 100%. So that's why, just a little tidbit on why I personally like the armor. It's a little more expensive, costs 3 wood and 3 leather, but it works out in the long run. Now the next topic I'm going to be touching on is harvesting resources in a straight line. I do not recommend this. You get a lot of resources fast, but if someone's behind you, which most likely they will be, they can track you very, very easily. Another big no-no I see a lot of players doing is when they get into fights, they either A, don't pick up arrows, or B, they may only will shoot with arrows. So if you're at, let's say I'm out of arrows, and I will be in this fight right here. I'm out of arrows, he's not. He's throwing snowballs as well, which you can reflect with a shovel. But if you reflect his arrow, A, it deletes the arrow's gone, you know. And B, he has one less arrow, you didn't take damage. So don't be afraid to swing, you know, if you got the distance. And also with snowballs, like right there, he threw a snowball, I reflected it, and actually killed him because he was cold. Another big mistake I see a lot of players do is if you're going to craft something, you're going to leave a toolbox that can be tracked. And as most of you know, being tracked gives them 100% vision on you. They can see through trees, you know, pretty much walls, everything. So if you're going to craft something and you have like a pine tree nearby, a bush, place it in there. It's a lot harder for players to see that in a bush unless they actually walk in it than it is just out in the open, and that's a free tracking they get on you. Speaking of tracking, I can't stress enough the importance of tracking. Now, a lot of times when I get into a fight and you'll have a lot of downtime in some fights, you know, where you guys back up to grab arrows or craft something or whatever. If I'm not being tracked, I'm going to run straight for their tracking, you know, if they left something on the ground that I can track, because that gives me a huge advantage over them. And any advantage you have over another player is one step closer you win in that fight, like right there. I went straight for the tracking, I come up on him, and you'll see here that I do the same exact thing. I'll lose track and I'll go back and get it again. Now let's reverse it here. So you're being tracked and the enemy's chasing you down. You can do one of two things. Well, you can do multiple things. But the biggest thing is make a smoke bomb. As long as you didn't leave a trail of stuff for them to find, they won't be able to find you again. They'll track you. If you did leave a trail, I suggest baiting them like into a house and set up some tripwires or bear traps. So that way when they come in to like, oh, he's in this house, they get hit with a tripwire, then you have the advantage. You can see them, and they're stunned for that amount of time. Now, you can be the biggest and baddest axe player in the game, but if you're going up against somebody with better aim than you with a bow, you're most likely going to lose. And that's why I suggest go in the start of a lobby, shoot the other players with your arrow, you know, get some practice in, because that's the best way. Even the pros do it. Practice, practice, practice. Practice makes perfect, you know. Another good way to practice shooting is if you find a deer in the game, shoot at that deer, you have great loot, and also you get health from them. Or at the start of a game, if you look up in the lobby, there are these tiny little drones flying around that you can shoot, and they will explode when you hit them. So that's a great way to get practice, and they're unlimited. They just keep spawning and spawning and spawning. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a little bit of rundown how I like to play. My style. I like to run the runner cloak, the hunter boots, the sharpening axe, and berserker arrows. The way I play is I'll land a shot, hopefully, and I will instantly rush in on them with my unlimited stamina for 10 seconds. And I'm going to go ahead and hit them with the axe, and then rinse and repeat. Like here, you'll see me do that. I'll hit them with an arrow. It works out great. Sometimes if they're fast enough, they can hit you back, but not all the time. You'll get better with practice as you go on. Now for my traps, I like to run the bear trap, the tripwire, and the smoke bomb. Bear trap and the tripwire for when I get tracked, and the smoke bomb as well. I like to do that quite often. That way, you know, I have that little bit of an advantage if they do, you know, just blindly run in. As far as the electronics, I usually like to run the radar, the cloak, and the teleport. Obviously the radars, you know, so I can track people when I know they're nearby, or, you know, if I'm looking for a clue, it pops up nice bright red. It's easy for me to see even being colorblind. The jump teleport I like because the jump's nice, but I like being able, you know, the jump's only 30 meters, whereas the teleport's 100. And lastly, we have the cloak for obvious reasons. I like to be stealthy, you know. I'll pop my radar, see where they're at, cloak in, and go smack them in the face. And unless they're used to seeing that little bit of shimmer like from Halo, they're not going to be able to find you right off the bat. So it works out that way. pretty well, actually. Now I'm going to show you a little clip on how I deal with being tracked and end up winning the game. I start out looking at the map. I know he's coming. He was tracking me. Wait till he got there. I run out, pop my radar so I can see where he's coming. I got full advantage on him right there. Go ahead. I'm going to take the first shot, break his armor if he's got it, which he did. Pop my cloak. Now here I whiff it, which you're going to do. Even the best players whiff. So don't get too discouraged. And lastly, I don't even use my teleport here. I would have been smart too, but got a lucky shot there. Took a couple swings, and then with the Berserker, I hit a shot. I have full stamina, unlimited, and I just rush shoot. And that's how it works out for me. Hopefully this guide helped you guys. I appreciate stopping by. Any feedback, comments, questions, or concerns, greatly appreciated. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're not already. And a little bell for notifications. We'll be doing more guides coming up soon. Thank you very much, and you guys have a good one.